Hello, brothers and sisters of light and dark. Welcome to my page. My page is about common sense, but I tried to keep it down under the nitty gritty under 10 minutes. If it goes over 10 minutes, there's something very fucking important. And not important to liberals, libertards, people believe in God, people like to smoke, people like to drink, people like ayahuasca, people like DMT, you wear tattoos, you wear your hat backwards, you wear shades. My videos are not for you. You're too immature for that. This one of those things. This automatically you lose a couple points, a couple brain cells. I'll lose a couple brain cells if you communicated with me. I don't care if you're a Rockefeller, rich, or whatever you are. Okay, that's just how I think. Okay, all right. All right. If you have any comments, questions, insults, even roast fest, you put it down below. Check out my credentials down below and understand who you're talking to. All right. Okay, since now you know I'm an indigo child, a guy who is not a sinner in this world, a guy who is a god, who says all of you are gods, okay? You know I like to talk about things that most people are not talking about in society. So let's begin with the topic for today. Like I said before, I use a bit of philosophy combined with common sense, kind of like Mark Twain, okay, and Socrates by asking questions and deductive reasoning. But let me tell you something here. This video is about how to blame yourself for everything. When my ex-wife, even though she was a virgin, okay, over there in C's, even though she had her father, even though I tried to do the thing that most men cannot do, they would not be able to do what I do. A lot of guys will try to claim to say that they think that they're alpha, but they're not, or a sigma, but they're not none of those things. This is sad, okay? A lot of beta males these days are running around with their heads cut off. I'm trying to say, focus on blaming yourself for everything. Do not have a victim mentality about anything, because if you do this, it will be a crutch. It will be a motherfucking crutch. All right? No matter what you hear in the news, just focus on the energy of yourself. Do not seek externalism, escapism. These things basically can destroy you, okay? All right? And so I try my best to teach people about common sense. And when you say, you shouldn't blame, you should, if let's say, for example, if you're not paranoid, I guarantee you have to blame yourself. Every time I walk out that door, I am putting myself in danger. All right? So I have to blame myself for whatever happens. Because back in my heydays, I didn't really go out nowhere. Okay? When I was like in my 20s, I was going out experimenting. Okay? But then I realized that every time you put yourself outside and you encounter certain groups of people socially, you put yourself in danger. Okay? And sometimes some unknown thing can happen. You still have to protect yourself and blame yourself as well. When I talk to my ex-wife and I say, hey, I blame myself for everything that happened, okay? She'd be like, because most people will not, especially women, will not be held accountable for their actions because they don't know how to be accountable for their actions, okay, right? So I try to say just to be the bad guy, okay, which most people would say, you're the bad guy for doing this, go man. I guess I am. I blame myself for everything. If you say that takes a lot of courage. And what will happen, it will nullify anyone to say for someone you're a bad person, even though they are in the wrong, okay? It doesn't really matter. Just say, I did everything. It's all my fault. Even if it's not your fault. Okay, let's say, for instance, you didn't do enough research or development or psychology, psychosis on anybody's pathology and their creative thinking of manipulating you to hurt you. And you haven't thought out like a chess game, okay? You play chess and you lose. You have to blame yourself. It cannot. You can have stalemates. You can literally have stalemate in chess. Yes, you can. Though the white always has the advantage when they move first, okay? You have to understand this. The person with more knowledge is always going to be to blame. All right? Like I tell a lot of crackers and some hunkies and some rednecks sometimes, I say, you got to blame your ancestors and blame yourself for all this shit that they can't make up. Because whatever they did is going to come back to haunt them, right? And if they don't blame themselves, okay, then you know who's at fault in society. Because they don't even have an empathetic bone in their body, okay, to carry anything. I just had an argument on the internet, right? Okay, on a TikTok. And I was just trying to explain to this cracker, this white guy, this so-called hunky guy, who likes to, I know he likes to say the word nigga, okay? I know he likes to say the word nigga because the way he talks and sounds, okay? I'm like, dude, you cannot say 13% of the pop, I'm talking in general, overall. You cannot say 13% of black women are doing most of the abortions, and I have not seen any abortions done in the hood. Though I have seen some, okay, but it wasn't packed. I actually saw white women go up in the black neighborhoods, okay, So they got their own concoction to control the media in their own way. 13% of the blacks are causing 50%. No, not all throughout America now, so don't say that. So if you take all of the blacks and all of them was creating crime, 13%, which is equal to 100%, and then you have 65% of Caucasians in America creating all of the crime. Who is creating more crime? It will always be more white folks because there's 65% more white folks. And on top of that, a lot of white people who have this tendency of thinking that there is no systematic racism, I need you guys to do this one thing, to prove to society that there is such thing as systematic racism. There's affirmative action, there is white privilege, there's even black privilege too, so don't get me wrong, it's not just white privilege, but But please understand, there is a pathology to all this thinking and stuff. I think that we should all teach history about the ancestors of what whites have done to blacks and the minorities and brown and yellow people too alike. Okay, even their own kind. Okay, you want to call them oligarchies, you can call them all you want. You can call them Zionists, you can call them all you want. Okay, you can call them Gentiles, you can call them all you want. But a lot of times, if people don't have a lot of common sense sometimes, and they'll just constantly say, oh, these group of people are doing these things, when they know it's not a fact, okay? They know that their people have more power over the media than colored people, okay, naturally. And then they'll try to have an excuse saying, oh, what about the black people? No, they're paid, okay? Sometimes you have some coons in there, some coons, or some black people who are paid to say things out of like a white puppet, okay, for white masters. Yes, there is. You just gotta prove it, guys. You have to prove this stuff. It does. I know it exists because I live in suburban areas. I lived in urban areas. I sent out 2 applications, and I know one fact by one person writing down. They do a census, a psychological test. You got this thing that says, are you white or black? You don't need to fill it out. They're analyzing you. They already have some kind of premeditated thought about you if you label yourself as African American. That's a fact. That does go on. If you don't put it there and you do have an interview, they will reject you outright simply because you're black, okay? It does happen. If Candace Owens don't want to talk about it, if Larry L doesn't want to talk about the certain spots, I believe America is 30% racist. I believe it's not as strong as it was, but there is a lingering systematic effect in there. Okay, we do have a systematic racism in place to cater towards minorities because of all of the damage that have been done. Yes. But there was no reparations paid to blacks now. And do I feel blacks need reparations? I don't believe that they really need it because it's really about the single mother syndrome, because I talk about single mother syndrome. You got women in the hood who's actually feeding off the system and taking bribes from white men or Jewish men to manipulate factors. There are a lot of whites who own poor properties in urban developed areas, and they are destroying them just by purchasing them and not rebuilding them. Okay, they destroy the neighborhood. They get incentives off of that. I heard about this many times. It's not blacks who destroyed the neighborhood. Okay, it's a systematic racism in place, a gentrification, if you want to call it that, But to each his own, babies. It's okay, You just got to do the research, due diligence, and put it out there as facts, okay? Because you can do this. I know you guys can do this. Now, I know some of you be saying, oh, Candice is a coon, and then Larry Elder and Domicile is a coon, but hey, they're talking on one side of the fence. They don't care about blacks that much. They expose the minute 30% racism that still does exist in America. They're not going to talk about that. Okay, but I recommend that you blame yourself for everything. Beside the point, just blame yourself for everything. So some liberal or far leftist won't say, oh, you did it. Yeah, it's me. Yeah. Just relax. Just remove the ego, peoples. Be slow to anger. And that's all I really got to say, okay? Because it'll make you the better person when you say, yeah, I blame myself. Yeah. For trying to do everything in my power to have standards and boundaries and shit, and you still get called the bad guy, That's how millennials think. Millennials think you're the bad guy for having standards and boundaries. Yeah. But other than that, that's all I really got to say, guys. I love you all, but I hate the many of you. I despise them all you. I love animals more than humans, but guess what? I'm not your average man. I'm not your Peter Pan. You was listening to me for like 10 minutes? I love you too, man. A lot of people have low attention spans, baby. I hope you learned something from this video. Please blame yourself for everything. Because if you're not paranoid, you deserve to be blamed for everything. You're going out that door. You know you're going out that door. You know you like to go out that door. I have to go out the door only in the summertime, just to work out, to keep my body in shape as what it is now. It's not completely 100%, but I've been hibernating. It's getting warmer, guys. Okay? You gotta work out, babies. Alright? Be healthy. Okay? I'm moving faster than these 19-year-olds. I'm like, what the hell? You got molasses in your asses? These kids can't even play basketball. When I go to New York, they can't play either that much. I shoot 3-point hook shots. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Other than that, I'm out of here, guys. Did you get the message? Peace.